All right,
Right.
we live and we ready?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you, Josiah. So, good evening, everyone. We are back live for our second Talk About It Tuesday, and I have, oh my God, a phenomenal individual on today. And I'm just so excited for her presence, her expertise, her knowledge, her realness, her love, her support. My big sis, my mentor, the owner and founder of I am Michelle Renee.com,
Thank you.
owner of the Black Woman Tribe. Did I say it right?
A tribe of those black
Dope.
women.
The tribe of dope Black women. I knew I had the words right. They was just a little mixed
That's
up.
okay.
And just a phenomenal mother of the Glitter Gang, Michelle Martin.
Thank you,
And
sis.
we are here to talk about mom guilt.
Mm-hmm.
Whew.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Mom guilt. What is mom guilt? I Googled mom guilt.
Mm-hmm.
So I want to share the definition I Googled, and then let's talk about it because mom guilt is real.
Very much so.
So this is when Googling mom guilt, this is what came up. Mom guilt is a name given to the feelings of guilt and shame some people feel when they don't live up to their own or others' expectations in their role as a parent. So, sis, I reached out to you and I asked you, what do you want to talk about? Let's have a conversation. And you chose mom guilt.
Right.
So, what made you choose mom guilt and what comes up when you hear that definition?
I mean, that's like a perfect definition for exactly what it is that expectation that you have for yourself or that perceived expectation from the rest of the world of what a mom should be and how a mom should show up and just that whole super mom, that whole caped belief of how we as women are supposed to be as mothers. When in
Mhm.
reality, some of us don't show up in that way. Most of us don't, truthfully. But
Mhm.
also, you have women who don't ever get the light switch turned on to what motherhood is supposed to feel and be in that whole sense. Or even for those of us who do operate in mommyhood, that feeling of never having done enough to support your kids. So, what mom guilt looks like for me as a mom of an autistic child is she was diagnosed a year ago at 11 years old. It's the frustration of feeling like I should have fought harder for her earlier. I should have done this. It's that shoulda, coulda, woulda list of all the things you feel like would have been different had you done something different. And in reality, that's not true. And so what I've had to do is combat the mom guilt with the mom reality, which is you're doing everything that you possibly can now. You're getting your kids services. You're standing up and sticking up and advocating for her on every corner now that you know how to do so. And it's hard for people. I mean, I speak for people. It's hard. It was hard for me um, to really operate from a place of saying enough is enough with feeling this way, do something about it. Like you don't have to feel like that. Um, but I feel like even mom guilt is rooted in how you were mothered. So what happens is you see or don't see how that mother figure showed up for you or didn't show up for you. So when you either decide to show up differently, um, or you see yourself repeating that same pattern as your mother, then that's when the guilt kind of sets in for you, right? And that was the case with me, because a lot of the characteristics and the behaviors that my daughter exhibits are those same behaviors that I exhibited as a child and that I exhibit now as a neurodivergent adult. And so it's very difficult to parent yourself, right? So I'm looking at, and even we talked about this a while back. when I first got her diagnosis, and I was really like just reaming over what I should do and how I should have done things earlier. It was a big struggle for me because then I went into all the times where I should have done something or somebody should have done something for me, because I felt like this was a projection of that mom guilt. I felt like had someone advocated for me as a child, then I would know what to do in this situation. Or if someone had stepped up for me and been the voice for me to make sure that people weren't doing things to me, or that I was getting the right type of learning and whatever, then I would know what to do in the situation. And then when I thought about it and looked back, like I got the speech services for pragmatic speech. I got, those different things. I never got the diagnosis as a child, but I got the support that I needed to be successful and to go on and truly thrive. But so that wouldn't have changed me knowing how to operate in that space, whether or not I had a parent that did it for me or not. And so that
Right.
removed that level, but then other levels start to kick in, because now I'm dealing with the level of mom guilt of when my child tells me something, um, because I've been gaslighted in so many ways to not believe the things that she was saying, because, oh no, she's exaggerating, or no, oh no, it can't be that deep or that serious. And it's like, but if my kid's telling me this, it is deep and serious to her. And it doesn't matter how deep or serious or important you think it is. It's that important to her.
Seriously.
So I
Right.
should be only concerned with making sure that she's taken care of. So it's so
And then
many
we
parts
struggle
of it,
with that as parents. Let me just say, as
Yes.
moms, and speaking from a mom perspective, like being sure I'm not belittling what my child is experiencing. And I know I can be guilty of that many times, where it's like my
Oh
child's
girl, you'll be all
coming
right. It ain't
and
that
they're
big.
like, yeah, you're all right. It's not that deep. It's not that big. And, I just think like when I come and I'm expressing something, even as an adult, and somebody's like, you'll be all right. You're an adult. You're a big girl. Shake it out. And I'm just like, no, this is like really bothering me though. And here's a kid who's coming. Well, first of all, just even my kid coming to me,
Yes.
because for me growing up, it was a struggle for me to express to my mom like what I was going through, because I felt like I was belittled or my problem didn't matter. And that's not to say she wasn't a good mom or anything like that. That's just something I had struggled with. So I said, as a mom, I'm going to be sure my kid is able to come to me when it comes to things. But then I have to be really sure to check myself, because if I'm tired, I'm exhausted, I can't push away my child. Now I'm learning. Now I do have to say I'm learning, and I have to give a big shout out to my baby's godmom. I call her my second mom. She was my coach. There was one time I was crying and I was like, I don't want the kids to see me cry. And she was like, no, she needs to know how you're feeling and what's going on. And I was like, dang.
Mm-hmm.
But I grew up thinking like my kids never need to see me express any emotion. It's not right to see a mom express any emotion.
But then
And
how
then
would they learn how to express emotion? You know what I'm saying?
exactly. So I have this mom guilt of my kids don't need to see me cry. My kids don't need to see me struggle or anything like that. But then it's just like, they need to know too, like, it's okay. It is okay. Now let's figure out how we're going to do this together. And I'm
Mm-hmm.
still learning that. I'm still learning the big on mom guilt. And like I said, sometimes I push it away because I'm tired. And then once I realize that, I go back and guess what I do? Apologize.
That's right. That's a big
I
step.
apologize to my kid. And I'm like, I'm sorry, mommy just wasn't in the right headspace. What is it that you need?
Mm-hmm.
And she sometimes is vocal enough to say, mommy, you hurt my feelings. Or
Mm-hmm.
mommy, I didn't do anything wrong. And I felt like I should have never got punished.
Mm-hmm.
And we talk it through. And then I have that mom guilt like, dang, I did just, bop her upside the head real good time. But she needs to know not to play with me.
Right, right, right. I totally
So
get it. I totally get it. That was the thing when I can remember I think I might have shared this with you, but I can't remember if I did or not. But I remember last year my kids have missed so much school. Oh my gosh. When I say they've missed so much school, It is insane the amount of school my children miss. They're all three are all A students, so clearly they're not missing any academics, but they miss a lot of school. And this particular day, Kai was complaining of a tummy ache and her body was hurting and all this stuff. And I was just like, oh my God, can't you just push through? And the
Mhm.
moment it came out of my mouth, I was like, if she could, she would.
Mhm.
She's never been a child that pretended to be sick to not go to school. Ever. To this day, she's not a child that pretends to be sick to not go to school. If she don't want to go to school, she gonna straight up be like, I don't want to go to school. Can I have a mental health day? I need a
Mhm.
B day. But if
Yes.
she says she doesn't feel well, she doesn't feel well. And
Right.
I still struggle with that because I was the kid who, when I didn't feel well and said, something about, I still got sent to school.
Right. Yep.
And so it's like, I've got guilt on the one hand of my children missing school too much because I'm an educator, and they say if kids don't attend a certain amount of days, whatever,
Then
all BS.
they miss a
If
lot.
kids are capable of learning and getting taught, they will be fine. That's a whole nother bandwagon. We'll have another talk about it Tuesday for that one. But I'm thinking about it. I'm like, there are days when I can't push through to go to work. So how is it different for her? But literally, this child, if she's telling you she hurts, what would be simple to us that we can push through, she can't.
Mm-hmm.
And having to learn how to receive that and be respectful of that and honor her in that space wasn't a challenge, but I made it a challenge.
Mm.
And that was a reverse type of guilt, because now I'm having guilt where, what are they going to say if my kid missed too many days? Not a doggone thing, because I handwrite you an excuse and let you know that please excuse them because they were sick. Please
Right.
excuse me because they're not available. So it's really getting to that place of understanding that it's my job to take care of my kids. And I don't care how somebody feels about the way that I take care of them, because my job is to ensure that I'm raising healthy, trauma-free, as much as I can support trauma-free, self-aware,
Self-aware
kind,
is a big one.
and
Mm-hmm.
educated children. That's my job.
Mm-hmm.
Children whose resting position is love and kindness. That's my
Mm-hmm.
job. And
Right.
you don't have to be at school 180 days for me to achieve that with my girls.
Mm-hmm. But it's not even just about school. You can't, and again, like you said, that's a whole different subject for a different day, but you can't rely on the school to teach your kid everything anyways.
Absolutely not.
You have to be the one to install that too. And then it seems like, and this is subjective, a lot of the lessons come from experiences and what they learn even like at home, and like
Absolutely.
tools that they utilize into adulthoods and things like that. A lot of that comes
Mhm.
from experiences and being, I don't want to say at home, but life experiences, more so outside of
Absolutely.
school,
The
like on the
experiences you have with the
playground.
people that you're around the most.
Exactly, like the socializing and the playground and
Mm-hmm.
all of that. A lot of that comes from that. But again, like that's a whole another the school system and advocate. That's a whole
Absolutely.
nother conversation
Absolutely.
for
But there's
sure.
this level of, we love to tell people and like, you can't be your kids' friends and stuff like that. Well, how will they learn how to navigate friendships?
Ooh,
Think
that's
about
a
it.
word.
If your children are not in a position or don't know how to make friends because they've never been in a position to do so, how will they navigate that?
Mm. You know what I heard the other day, and you saying that it made me think about that is how where us as moms, I'm gonna say moms because we're both moms, us as moms, we're our kids' inner voice. We are the ones who install that
Mm-hmm.
inner voice in them.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
When we're how we talk to them, um things that we're saying to them. And I heard somebody say that somebody told them that their child looks like them, and they were like, my child doesn't look like me, da 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 da. And it's like, well, how do you imagine how your child feels being that somebody is saying, oh, you look like your mom, you look like your parent, and here you go, you're belittling yourself, and you're saying, I don't look beautiful, I look like this, I ugly, da da da. So it's like, well, your child looking at you like, well, do I look
Right.
that
Right.
way?
I
And I'm
remind the girls all the time of that
wow.
same negative self-talk. Because everybody knows that Kai and I could be twins. We look just alike. Um, and all the girls look like me at different phases of my life as a child growing up. But people will say, or somebody will say something or call her ugly, or the bullying, saying ugly things to her or about her, and I say, well, how do you feel? How
Mm-hmm.
do you feel? She's like, I mean, they say, but how do you feel? Because you love to tell me that we look just alike. How do you feel? I said, because I'm beautiful and I know you're beautiful, but how do you feel? And
Mm-hmm.
so that's one of those things where we constantly have to tell them. And then another strategy I use with my kids, instead of always telling them no about something, because I need them to understand the workings, the inner workings of that inner voice that I'm trying to instill in them. I say, hey, here's the absolute worst possible outcome of you making that decision. Here's the most likely outcome of you making this decision. And here's the best outcome of you making that decision. If you can live with all three of those outcomes and be perfectly fine with the worst, the likely, and the best, then by all means do it. But if any one of
Mm-hmm.
those outcomes make you feel uneasy, you probably shouldn't do this.
Mm-hmm.
If you can deal with the absolute worst of it and you're okay with it, go for it. That means it's worth the experience that you're going to gain from it. But if you cannot deal with or handle the worst possible outcome of that, then it's best that you don't proceed. And I don't know right now if they understand that to the degree that I need them to, but I do believe when they become young adults and adults that they're going to be like, what's the worst thing could happen? What's the best thing could
Yeah.
happen? What's the most likely? I'll risk it. It's worth it. Or not worth the risk.
Not worth it. So thinking about the choices and consequences as you were speaking, that's what comes to mind for me, is just fully
Absolutely.
thinking. Now let me ask, because as you were thinking that, this is, I guess this is my my therapist cap coming on. With that, do you feel like that's that, like the negative, the cognitive destroy, ugh, Lord Jesus, I can't talk, but the negative thoughts and thinking like the worst possible thing, so that catastrophic thinking, that's a part of like negative thoughts. So even thinking like the negative things, it's like, and then acting on that. Do you see that? Or because you're like, okay, think about the negative and the positive things, it's like then there's a common ground with that, and it's like they're not too much focusing on the negative, because some people, like, they think the negative and then they begin to act
Right.
on that.
My goal is to teach them balance, because there
Mm,
will be times where the negative does prevail in something, where the worst thing that could happen does happen. And you have to be prepared to deal with that. But then there will be
mm,
times where the best possible thing that could happen will happen. And then there'll be times where it's just straight up and down in the middle and it doesn't lean either way. That's when we talk about the neither disagree or agree. There's a
mm,
real place where you're just like, I'm indifferent. I have no feeling or thought about that. If you live in that space with every decision, then nothing really affects you. But most people don't live there.
mm.
Most people take a stance of, I believe, like some of that is in set in that realist perspective, but most people will take a stance on either the side of optimism or pessimism. And
Okay,
so it has
yeah.
to be where you find that balance in everything is not terrible, but everything ain't
Mm,
always great. Some
that's
things are
true.
right there in the middle. So I want them to know that there's this spectrum of understanding where things can happen, and that they and their response to how those things happen is up to them. That
Mm,
they get to have a choice in this life about the way things interact and impact them. But that
mm-hmm,
choice is theirs only if they are aware and if they're informed in the choices that they make. So
I
I
like
don't
that.
let them live on the fly. Like,
Right.
they can choose to live on the fly when they become adults and live that spontaneous life, but they mama don't live in the spontaneous world.
Mm-hmm,
They mom live in a planned, organized world as much as I can,
mm-hmm.
because I need to know. And part of this is my neurodivergence, but a lot of this is dealing with Kai. Is I need to know what's going to happen until I can't know what's going to happen, right?
Right,
So
right.
that I can prepare her, so I can prepare myself. I told my husband, we were like planning date nights, and he was like, I said, I want to give you a list of places that I'm absolutely okay with. And as long as you find places similar to those places, I'll be fine. But don't take me to places that I've never experienced. And that wouldn't be a thing that I would choose, because I might not enjoy it, but beyond not enjoying it, it's a reason why I wouldn't enjoy it. If you take me
Mhm.
anywhere with music, for the most part, I'm going to enjoy it. But if you take me places where it's just loud, it's not music, it's a lot of people congregating, I'm going to become overwhelmed. It's too much. It's too many triggers and things going off. I won't enjoy that. And the goal is for us to enjoy our time. So thinking about those things is important. So teaching my kids how to navigate that perspective is important to me, because I feel like I'm trying to do a lot of stuff now while they're little,
Right.
so that
Yeah.
when they get older, that I don't suffer from mom guilt for not having taught them. A lot of the things that I experienced as a teenager, as a young adult, is because I feel like I didn't know those things. No one taught me. And I went into the world very unprepared, and I entered the world very young. I graduated high school at 16. I went to college, and I wasn't prepared to be in an adult world and situation, but I had to navigate it. I want them to be prepared because they're all super intelligent. They all have that potential to go and, be a person who, what's the word? Uh, may graduate early or something like that. I don't want them to be unprepared.
Right.
Like, I
Right.
talk to my kids about everything,
That's good.
everything, because
That's
I don't
good.
want them to be in a situation like, we didn't wait to even have the safe touch conversation. Like, that was a very, if you can understand me talking, we're having this conversation, because I don't want you to ever be in a position um where something happens to you and you can't communicate to me what went wrong, or that something did happen. So
Right.
that's really important. I'm
Right.
trying to
For
do a
sure.
lot of preventative guilt.
Right. Right. And being sure, like you saying that is making me think, and I would love to know your thoughts on us as moms not putting our trauma onto our kids, but providing them with those tools, you know, and letting them know, like you said, that, good touch, bad touch, just how to speak up for themselves. And like you said, there's a way to talk to your kid at their age.
Hmm.
You wouldn't talk to your 16-year-old the same way you talk to your 6-year-old when it comes
Right.
to certain things in situations. But really, just what's coming to mind for me as you were talking is checking myself. And I know a lot of the times I have to check myself and what I went through growing up that I, liked or didn't like from my mom, and making sure that I'm not portraying that onto my kids.
Hmm.
So one thing that made me think as you were speaking is unlearning to relearn.
Hmm.
And
Absolutely.
that's major. It's tough. It is tough. 'Cause
Absolutely.
some days I be like, oh, it's so good to just go back to what's familiar and just, yell, scream, shout. But I know how that made me feel,
Right.
you
Right.
know,
Definitely
popping.
with that, Joe. Like, my oldest is the one who kind of chin checked me on that. Because I was explaining to her, like, I'm very big on them not going places and me not knowing where they're going, or going with
Oh, come
strangers
on.
and stuff like that. Like, I'm very overprotective, some may call, in that sense, because I want my kids to be okay and I want them to be safe. So that's a big, big
No
no-no for
slumber
me.
parties.
No, right.
No
Um,
slumber
like,
parties.
it's very big for me. So, we were always the house that everybody came to. And I'm like, I said, I had to sleep for weeks to get ready to host all these kids, because I'm not sleeping while they there.
Hmm.
I got eyes on, so I get that. But at the same time, she was like, Mom, I'm smart. I know right from wrong. I'm not gonna make bad choices. I'm gonna be safe. And like, she's telling me all these things. And she was like, it's gonna be okay. And I'm looking like, girl, who you talking to? But then I respected it, because it's like she's making sure that I'm okay, because she
Hmm.
realizes that the issue that I'm pressing onto her is not her issue. It's an issue that I had where
You
I
need to
felt
check.
unprotected,
Hmm.
you
Yeah.
know. And she all but said, hey, I'm gonna need you to check your trauma, sis, because this ain't my life. Like, that's not my portion.
Right.
Um,
Right. And
once I
that's why we
realized that, I shifted it from being a trauma response to things, and it became, I just want to educate and inform you. So you, at least
mm,
you're aware, because again, my issue was feeling like no one informed me and I was never aware.
mm,
So I had to shift the lens of how I shared those experiences.
that's big. And what's coming up for me again as you're talking is just really just us checking ourselves as moms,
Yeah, absolutely.
and being, just real with ourselves and talking things out. That's what I'm learning. I'm learning as a mom. Sometimes I'm in stuff and I feel like I'm by myself. And then I'll reach out and, I'll call you or I'll call my other mom friend and I'm just like, just talking and then it just, bleh, I just,
Mhm.
it's like word vomit. I'm just talking and they just like, wow, that's crazy. I'm going through the same thing.
Yep.
And I'm like, oh my God, I feel so much better, talking it through, talking it out and just checking myself. Again, checking myself,
Absolutely.
being real with myself. And one thing I'm learning too, where I'm guilty at, is feeling like I always have to be my kids, be with my kids, be my kids' savior. And it's just like, and I was talking with hubby about it, and he was like, well, how are they ever gonna learn? We
Right.
have to equip, and I'm just like, no, I have to be there. I have
Like me
to
sitting outside of this
equip
performance
them.
arena for hours while she's rehearsing, just in case
Right.
something pop off. Yeah, I get it.
Yeah.
But even to the effect of like what she experienced yesterday with some of the issues, and me going and addressing it and creating, awareness. I asked her, I was like, you want me to come in?
Hmm.
I'll come in, I can work, I'll sit in there. She was like, no, I don't want you to
Yes.
come in. I said, but the principal said I could come in, and I got clearance, I can come in if I need to come in. No, I got this. I
Yep.
said, are you sure? I've got this and it's okay. She said, Mom, I've got a phone. If I need you, I'll text you because I know you won't be far.
With
So
with
it's
Chas.
learning that balance and that it's okay.
Mm-hmm. And that's what I'm big with Chas too. It's like, okay, what do you need from me? What would you like me to do? Do you feel the situation was handled to your liking? Or are you okay with it? And then sometimes she'll say yes, and sometimes she'll be like, no, I don't feel like we navigating the issue right now with aftercare and things like that. So I'm, like, well, how do you feel? And she's like, I feel like the lady didn't listen to me and took the other person's side. Noted. Okay. Me
That's valid. I respect it.
me and your dad will handle that. Thank you for telling us. We're gonna go from there. So
Right, right,
I
right.
say all that to say just really like listening to our babies and trusting us as as moms that we're doing the best we
Mhm.
can, because that's where I struggled at. And I really started struggling more with that once I became a mom of multiples. There
Absolutely.
was an incident with the baby last week where his ear, the side of his ear, if y'all don't know, my baby got all this hair. So he don't let me comb it. So sometimes I don't get to like really get in there. And with washing his hair and all that, he ended up like his ear right here ended up like scratching like really really bad to the point where it like broke his skin and it was bleeding and there was like crust and it was disgusting. And when I tell you the mom guilt just went whoosh, and I'm like, how did I miss that? What is going on? I'm terrible. And I just started like, I
Bashing
started
yourself.
bashing myself. And
Yeah.
I'm like, oh my God, how did I miss this? Like, oh my God, his ear, and he's in pain and and anything like that. And I wouldn't say he was in pain. He was more so, he was irritated with it, but all I could do was take him to the doctor. The doctor prescribed him some cream and some antibiotics because it was infected. But it's like, Joe, you caught it. And no,
Yep.
unfortunately, you're
Yep.
not going to be able to catch everything.
Yep.
You're not. But when I tell y'all, I was crying. I
Oh yeah.
was frustrated. It was like a hurricane in my head because I'm like, I have to know everything that goes on with my kids. And if I miss something, one thing, I can miss one thing, I'm a terrible mom.
Yep.
And everything else I've done falls out the window. All the other
And
things,
that
no
is the
matter I
basis of
fed
mom
them,
guilt. Yep.
it falls out the window. I had mom guilt. Mom guilt has so this conversation is just like really hitting me because I had mom guilt the other week when I was really, really sick and I couldn't take care of myself and I could barely stand up. And the baby was here and hubby was at work and he ended up ordering the kids pizza, but I couldn't even put the baby in the high chair to feed him. And I was just like, oh my God. I don't even remember if I fed him. I know he had his milk, but I was like, I'm a terrible mom. I can't even take care of them. I have to be able to, I can't be sick. I cannot be sick. I have to take care of them. And I just remember like just emotionally crying because I couldn't cook. They was eating chicken nuggets and french fries and pizza for like 3 days. And I just felt like
And
I felt
nothing in
like
your
the
mind
worst
said,
mom.
but they ate though.
Nothing in my mind said, but they ate. Nothing in my mind said they still here. They got a roof over their head. They got all these toys and things to entertain them. They got their TV because, it's like I got to throw y'all in front of the TV. I can't entertain y'all. Nothing in my mind said they're safe, they're good, they're fed, they're showered, or anything like that. The only thing was it wasn't a home cooked meal.
Right. Do you see how easily, and I know you know as a professional in that field, like how easily that mom guilt, especially like for a new mom, right? If
Ooh,
things don't
yes.
kick in easily and fast and quickly, and you don't take as soon as it happens, as soon as you have this baby, how that then manifests into postpartum depression
We
because
talked about
you
that.
start spiraling, you know,
Mm-hmm.
you start spiraling and you're really struggling to regain your sanity behind all these
Mm-hmm.
different things. It is so complex. And
Mm-hmm.
so I'm learning to put the mom guilt in check. And sometimes I have to call my chin checking friends. The
Mm-hmm.
ones who be like, girl, bye. I'm gonna need you to get it together because you did it. And I'm like, I need them. They're my cheerleaders because when you're overwhelmed already, and then we're usually overwhelmed by something completely unrelated to motherhood. Truth be
Yeah,
told, it's
that's
usually
true.
work or other relationships or finance. It's everything but the kids usually, right? But when things start falling off with the kids, or you feel like you're missing beats with raising your kids and taking care of your kids, you feel guilty because how did you let this other thing come before them and their
For your
care and
kids.
and they become this backseat. And so it's literally this never ending cycle and stair step of things that keep pressing down on you. So I just
Mhm.
hope that as we talk about it, that more women will say, you know what, I've experienced that and I don't want to go through this and I don't want to experience this. What tools can I, utilize to help me through this? What can I do to make myself better? And my first response is get you a therapist so you can
Yes,
talk this out.
yes. You need a
Talk this
everybody
out.
need a therapist. I am
Everybody
for
needs
it.
one. And every
I
therapist
am
needs a
for it.
therapist.
Yes. Got my therapist.
Yeah, we need
So
it because once you've got the tools, then you could do a little bit better with unpacking for yourself. But even that, even every toolbox needs a refresher, needs to update,
mhm.
needs to be able
Yep.
to say, you know what, I was doing well until, or
Yep.
I was able to navigate this, and then that's so
Hmm.
important
Yep.
as we're trying to raise these kids.
Exactly. Exactly. And I would just tell moms to what I'm learning as I'm navigating through this because again, I'm not perfect with this. I just wanted us to have this conversation. And I thank you for
Mhm.
selecting this conversation,
Absolutely.
this topic, is to really give yourself grace. I'm learning to give myself grace. I'm learning that I have to put myself in the room without them for a good, 5, 10 minutes. And then it's like, okay, I can come out and let's talk this through. what's going on, what's happening. Okay, now I can fully pour into you, but I just need that time for me. So setting that time aside, I know for everybody that looks different. Some are able to have that time longer based off of support needs, whatever the case may be. And then there's some who they don't get that time because it's just them. They could be a single mom, whatever the case may be, their support may be limited, whatever the case may be. It's just really allowing that time for you and not feeling guilty about it. Because before you are a mom,
You're
an individual, you're a
Yep.
person. And I always have to tell myself, before I am the mom of my three, I'm Jolisa. And I enjoy doing things and having that time. And I promise I'm one to go out and then I'm like, dang, I miss my babies. I want to go back. Or they can go with my mother-in-law and I'd be like, okay. About after a good, I say 24 hours. I'm not going to be the one to be like a couple of hours. I miss them.
Right.
You
Right.
know? So it's just really taking advantage of the breaks that you do have. It could be sending them off to daycare, to school, and you taking the day off and just resting, not doing house chores, not doing anything. And I'm learning and navigating that as well, to say, okay, I'm just gonna sit here and not do anything, watch TV, because I hardly ever get to watch TV anymore. Like on my TV now, what they watching? Mickey Mouse, Home Alone, Miss Ray, all the kids. I know all the kids' cartoons.
Same. I just started watching TV again, probably in January of this year. I hadn't watched TV in probably 10 years. And I was like, wow, I've missed a lot of things.
Yeah, all these shows.
I missed a lot of things. People be talking, I'm like, nope, not familiar. Not familiar. So I'm just finishing shows that finished like in 2019, 2018, getting caught up or whatever. But it's finding that balance, like you say, of having time to say, you know what, this is the time where I get to be Michelle versus being their mom. And I wouldn't trade being their mom for anything. That's my greatest joy and my biggest accomplishment. But I can't be their mom and be the best version of their mom if I'm not first the best version of me.
Yes, that's big.
And so I used to feel guilty for taking the time to myself, and I didn't. Like I went years, and it was all me, all them, all the time. Same. All the time, all the time. To the point where I know that I started to mistreat them, not in a really harsh way, but it was just like I'm irritable, so I'm short with them, and I'm like, whoa, they don't deserve that. You need to check yourself because you're tired, you're agitated. This has nothing to do with them. Get yourself together.
Yeah, and it's not. And I love how you said before that, and that just really resonated with me. 9 times out of 10, if we're irritable, it's not with our kids. It's with all the other things we have going on in work. And I could say for me, I'd be like, sometimes I like overextend myself or, things like that. And then it's like I get home or just, the workload that I'm in. It's just like I get home and then it's just like, they're here and they want mommy and they want mommy at, full like play mode. Yeah. Like on Blue where they be playing with the kids all the time. It's just like, no, mommy don't have that type of energy.
Think about what a 5-year-old is really doing to you. They're not doing anything but being 5.
Being 5. And I have to check myself with that too. So what advice, Josiah, we have any comments before we give any last minute advice to the mom, the women out there?
The only thing that I've seen so far is just that comment.
Oh, I see it.
Yeah.
Yes.
So much from watching us navigate hardships. It's okay, love.
Yes. That's from my good sis Chablis, all the way in Iowa.
Love it.
Iowa. Yes. So kids, I'm learning that too. Kids do learn, from our hardships. And again, I think it goes back to what you were saying. It's just how we talk to them and teach them and let them know it's okay to cry. It's okay to feel how you're feeling. We all have those big emotions, those intense emotions. Now let's see how we're gonna, utilize the tools and navigate that.
And listening to them, because these little people are so phenomenal.
They
And they
are.
have such an interesting perspective and a pure perspective of the world.
Mm-hmm.
I
Mm-hmm.
love talking to my kids because they are so untainted. And I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
oh wow, I didn't think about that in that way, but I like your version of it. I think I want to go with what you
Yeah.
think.
It's
That's
creative.
so important and empowering for them. They're like, you want to do it my way? I'm like, absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely.
They're so
And just
creative.
letting them express themselves. Because when you start overbearing over the things that they're trying to do, you create a level of perfectionism in them, and they never
Mm.
attain this thing that they want to do to please you. Versus, I'm like, well, is that going to make you happy? Okay, well, because we need to. It took me forever to figure out what made me happy because I'd never been asked that, and I never been exposed to what made me happy. But my
Mm.
kids know what makes them happy. They're able to
Mm.
rattle out spending time with you, being able to play on my game, being able to go
The little
outside. I
things.
love fresh air. I'm like, wow, like it took me to adulthood to value fresh air. Like,
Yeah.
okay, going
It's
to
the
the beach,
little
like
things.
all these different things. So I'm so grateful for what they teach me
Yeah.
about how to be their mom. Because I ask them all the time, like, how could I be a better mom than you? What could I
Same.
do?
Yeah. That's a great question. I think every mom should really take the time to ask their kids, how they're feeling. But before even doing that, making sure you're in the right headspace
Yes,
to receive what they say. Because kids tell the truth at all.
very much so.
Very much
Very much
so.
so.
So I think it's really making sure us as moms, we're taking time for ourselves. And then the big key takeaways for me through our conversation is us as moms taking care of ourselves first as individuals. And then also, I would say giving ourselves grace, but then knowing that it's okay to have those conversations and not portray our trauma, our childhood onto our kids, and knowing that we need to unlearn behaviors to relearn, and that's okay. That
Absolutely.
is all right.
Absolutely. The only thing I would add to that is that the importance of introducing your children to you as a person because they only know you as a mom.
Ooh, ooh,
So my kids have just learned who Michelle is. And like
ooh.
they also learned that Michelle like a little ratchet, she like a little hood music, stuff like so they're learning who I am as a person
I
outside of
love
being.
it.
And because I don't want them to wait to get to know me and be like, wow, you lied to us your whole life. You're not even like that. You don't even, I'm like, no. But they get to
I
meet
love
me,
that.
learn who
Hmm.
I am, and enjoy that portion of me. So they get to decide, like, do I want to be like her or is she the bar? And I'm like, no, baby, I'm not the bar. I'm the standard. You got to exceed me. Do what you're going to do, but do it on your level.
I
Like
love
these are the
that.
basics of what it is. So I want them to know who I am so that they can get a sense of who they are, not because of who
Mhm.
I am, but because they get to see who I evolved from. Like
Right.
we talk about what life was like when I was their age and then what life is like now. My kids will tell you in a heartbeat, I don't want to be an adult. Adulting is hard. Adulting
Adulting
is
is
hard, mom.
ghetto.
I want to enjoy my childhood versus I was a kid who wanted to grow up super fast because I'm sick of
Adulting
like
is
being a
ghetto.
kid was not fun.
Hmm.
But they don't have that perspective. They're like, man, I don't ever want to grow up. I want to
Yeah.
enjoy that. I tell them, hey, enjoy it. So they being able to introduce your kids to you as a person is probably one of the most profound things you'll ever do for them and to them.
I love that. I love that. And I resonate with that so much. Sometimes I even like if my kids be like Jolisa, I'd be like, yep, that's my name.
That would be me.
That would be
Yep.
me. Yes. Now
Yes.
you ain't crazy to keep repeating it, but
Right. Don't get
I
beside
am
yourself, please.
I exactly, but yes, yes, I am Jolisa. Sometimes I hear mommy, mommy, mommy so much. If they say Jolisa, I'd be like, yes.
Right. Thank you. Thank you for
Thank
acknowledging that
you.
I'm still here.
Woo! Because Jesus, walk
Get
right
it. I
past your
get it.
daddy and come to me. Like, dude, like you just walked right past him again.
Listen, again, yet another conversation that we will have to have. Right. But I'm
That
so
is
grateful for
real.
you creating this space to really talk about just what moms experience, but not just moms, but women experience. So I'm grateful for you.
Yeah.
Thank you for having
And
me.
I'm thankful for you for first of all joining. First of all, being flexible because we were supposed to kick it off April, but again, life be life, and
It
we was
does. It
finally
does.
able to do it. So I thank you for taking time out of your schedule to be here to share your knowledge, your expertise. You are so knowledgeable. You are so wonderful. You're phenomenal.
Thank
Not
you, friend,
only
as are you.
a mother, but an individual. And I am so grateful God has placed you into not only my life, my baby's lives as well. So
Likewise, my friend.
let the people know, how can they contact Miss Michelle Martin?
Listen, you can reach out to me at I am Michelle Renee on all platforms. I am MichelleRenee.com. I am Michelle Renee at Gmail if you want to hit me up. Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, Facebook. I'm everywhere and happy to interact, happy to do professional and personal development around pretty much any topic, but mostly around visionary and vision planning to goal setting. And then all things literacy and education. So if you got needs for your kids, that's my area of expertise, is making sure kids are able to become who they are without inhibitions and restrictions. Um, and then my new role as an autism parent advocate to make sure that parents are aware of what can and cannot happen on behalf of your child and can and will happen for your kids. So please hit me up. And if you
Oh, she's
didn't remember
phenomenal.
any of that, hit up Joe and she knows how to find me.
Yep. Yes, I do. And I will be shouting you out as always because I am so grateful. So thank you all for tuning in. Thank you to those who are watching the rerun. Thank you to the man, and I always have to shout him out. The man behind the scenes, Josiah, because he is phenomenal. He is amazing.
Thank you.
I can't navigate this
Absolutely. Big shout out,
at all.
Josiah.
And Josiah is truly amazing. I'm gonna be selfish and not drop his info because I don't need y'all stealing.
Well, we'll drop it after he takes care of some stuff for me. Then we're gonna really drop it.
Yes.
Mhm.
Josiah gotta be a little selfish a little bit. No, I'm kidding.
We love you,
Oh,
Josiah.
We
Love
do.
you too.
Josiah
Thank
got big
you.
things coming. So
Thank you
I can't
so
tell all his
much.
business, but he got big things coming with being a senior and things like that. So I'll let y'all know if he's available after. But check out the website, hopeanchorsthesoul.com. That is all Josiah. He is the man of the hour. He is behind all of that. And just really helping me on the social platform put together Hope Anchors the Soul. So I always have to shout him out because he is phenomenal. He is amazing while balancing school and his personal life and things. He is helping me as well. So Josiah, again, thank you.
Thank you for having me and trusting
Always.
with all of your operations.
You're amazing. You're the man. I'll share your info after.
Yes.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So thank you all again for tuning in. And Josiah, we out.
All right.